will, I must, no matter what, I gotta make it mine. No matter what, I gotta make it mine. I can, I will, I must, no matter what, I gotta make it mine. I can, I will, I must, no matter what, I gotta make it mine. Can't see myself without this, why I'm putting in that overtime. There's no way to offend me, I can see right through it all. Throw it off and try to tempt me, I would not let it change me. No, I never said this life is easy. Didn't know a heart can get so cold, don't need no ice to freeze me. I'm so clutch, I stay on go, ain't got no limits anymore. World on the shoulders, the pressure's weighing me down. I look at the struggle as part of just wearing the crown. He was chosen to live by the grace I was found. No weapons against me, so stop me, I'm holding it down. Say I needed to want it like right away. I go through the nights and see brighter days. Say that you love me and I'm okay. Really about it, go all the way. Some things no need to talk about, and other things I can be just fine living without. Walk it in and walk it out. You know I got it like what's a drought. Plenty more that's in store, so good can't ignore. Ambition fuels a fire, help me to endure the rain. All it took for me is always give my everything. I can, I will, I must, no matter what, I gotta make it mine. I can, I will, I must, no matter what, I gotta make it mine. I can, I will, I must, no matter what, I gotta make it mine. I can, I will, I must, no matter what, I gotta make it mine. I can, I will, I must, no matter what, I gotta make it mine. Can't see myself without this, why I'm putting in that overtime.
Welcome to the Deep Dive from Hustlers Rule the World. And today we're going to be diving deep into some ideas that might make you a little uncomfortable, but stick with us because this is going to be good. Ever get that feeling like society is kind of rigged to keep you average?
Totally.
Like to hold you back from reaching your full potential. That's what we're going to explore today. And we're going to be looking at some really interesting sources. Things like Seth Godin's linchpin.
Oh, yeah.
A clip from the business YouTube channel. And even some wisdom from As a Man Thinketh. So buckle up. This is where it gets interesting.
I think what's so fascinating about these sources is they all come from like these different disciplines, but they all point to this subtle yet really powerful force that can either like propel us towards success or hold us back in mediocrity.
Absolutely. And so let's kick things off with Seth Godin's linchpin. He talks about this concept of the modern factory, which, might seem a bit old school, but hear me out.
Yeah. I think it's not about literal factories anymore. It's more about like systems, structures, even mindsets that encourage, conformity and obedience rather than, independent thought and creativity.
It's like we're all being molded into these replaceable cogs in a giant machine.
Right. Totally.
And the problem is that mentality, it can seep into every area of our lives.
Oh, yeah.
From our jobs to our relationships to, everything.
Absolutely. Like, think about it. How many times have you felt pressured to fit in, to follow the crowd, even when it didn't feel quite right? That's that factory mentality at work. It's subtle, but it's so powerful.
And I think a lot of people, especially young people, are really struggling with this. They're trying to figure out who they are, what they want to do with their lives, but they're constantly being bombarded with these messages about, what they should be doing, who they should be.
And that's where the danger lies. Because if we're not careful, we end up living someone else's life, pursuing someone else's definition of success.
So how do we break free from this? How do we start being cogs in the machine and start becoming like the architects of our own lives?
That's the million-dollar question, and that's something we're going to be exploring more and more in this deep dive. But I think a good place to start is just recognizing the patterns. Becoming aware of the ways in which society is, kind of subtly nudging us towards this average.
Yeah, and speaking of average, let's jump to a clip from the business YouTube channel. This one really got me thinking about how our perceptions of what's normal or acceptable can actually sabotage our success, especially in relationships.
What this clip argues is that men and women often have very, drastically different definitions of average, and particularly when it comes to ambition and achievement.
Right, and it suggests that women are increasingly looking for partners who are offering what they call above average benefits. Now, Before anyone jumps to conclusions, this isn't just about money. It's about the effort, the dedication, the drive to become exceptional in areas that matter to you and to your partner.
It's about showing up as the best version of yourself, constantly striving to improve and grow.
So in the context of relationships, offering above average benefits is about
demonstrating your commitment
to personal growth and excellence. It's about showing your partner that you're not settling for mediocrity, that you're actively pursuing a life that's filled with purpose and passion.
And that's incredibly attractive, regardless of gender. We're all drawn to people who are passionate, who are driven, who are constantly pushing themselves to become better.
It's about raising the bar, not just for ourselves, but also for those around us. And that brings us to another really powerful concept from As a Man Thinketh.
This book really emphasizes this profound connection between our thoughts and our reality. It argues that our thoughts literally shape our circumstances.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. How can simply thinking differently actually change our lives?
The book explains that. Our thoughts kind of crystallize into habits, and those habits solidify into circumstances. It's like the snowball effect if you're constantly thinking. These negative, self-defeating thoughts, those thoughts become ingrained habits that then manifest as negative circumstances in your life. But the opposite is also true. When we cultivate these positive, empowering thoughts, we create this ripple effect that leads to positive actions and outcomes.
So it's not just about wishing or hoping for a better life. It's about actively shaping our thoughts in a way that supports our goals and aspirations.
Imagine it like this. You start each day by focusing on your strengths, your accomplishments, the things you're grateful for. Those thoughts create this momentum of positivity that propels you forward, makes you more confident, more resilient, and more likely to attract success.
It's almost like retraining our brains to focus on the good, to see the possibilities, rather than getting bogged down in all that negativity and self-doubt.
Exactly. And that's such a crucial skill, especially in today's world, where we're constantly bombarded with messages of fear, scarcity, comparison. We have to actively choose to focus on what empowers us, what inspires us, what moves us closer to our goals.
This is where that idea of being a hustler really comes into play, right? It's about having that proactive mindset, that relentless drive, that shape your own reality, rather than letting society dictate your path.
It's about taking ownership of your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately, your destiny.
That's right. And we're just scratching the surface here in part 2. We're going to delve even deeper into how to break free from this societal programming and tap into your true potential. So stick with us. Welcome back to The Deep Dive, brought to you by Hustlers Rule the World. We're picking up where we left off, exploring how society can kind of subtly steer you towards mediocrity. Last time we talked about and that whole factory mindset and the power of, thoughts shaping reality. But now I want to delve into something that might seem a little counterintuitive at first. It's this idea of embracing the gift economy.
Yeah, it might sound strange, especially in a world that's so obsessed with competition and scarcity. But Linchpin actually makes a really compelling case for shifting from a mindset of hoarding to a mindset of generosity.
Okay, so explain this to me. How can giving things away actually lead to greater abundance? It feels like the opposite of what we're often taught.
Yeah, I think a good way to think about it is when you share your knowledge, your skills, your creativity with others, you're not actually losing anything. You're potentially sparking new ideas, new connections, new possibilities.
It's kind of like planting seeds that can then grow into something much bigger than we could have imagined on our own.
Exactly. And I think the internet has created this incredible platform for this gift economy to flourish. You look at YouTube, podcasts, blogs. People are sharing their expertise, their passions, their art with the world, often for free.
It's almost like a rebellion against that old kind of factory model of knowledge and creativity. Instead of guarding our ideas jealously, we're putting them out there, allowing them to circulate, to evolve, to inspire others.
And here's the thing. When we give freely, without expecting anything in return, we create this ripple effect of abundance. Not only do we benefit from, the connections, the opportunities that arise, but we also cultivate this sense of purpose and fulfillment. That goes far beyond material gain.
So it's not just about sharing information. It's about shifting our mindset from scarcity to abundance, from competition to collaboration. But let's be honest, there's a big obstacle that often holds us back from giving freely.
Fear. Yeah, fear is like the ultimate killer of creativity, generosity, and ultimately success. It's that voice in our heads that tells us to play it safe, stay hidden, avoid putting ourselves out there.
Because we're afraid of being judged, failing, not being good enough.
And here's the thing about fear. It often thrives on our imagination. We create these worst case scenarios in our minds. And then we allow those fears to paralyze us.
So how do we break free from that kind of fear-based mindset? How do we get comfortable with putting ourselves out there, even when it feels scary?
It's a process. And I think it starts with recognizing that fear is often an illusion. It's a projection of what we think might happen, not what actually will happen. And more often than not, the things we're most afraid of are the very things that we need to do in order to grow.
Yeah, think about a time when you pushed past your fear and did something that terrified you. Chances are it wasn't nearly as bad as you imagined. And you probably learned something valuable from the experience.
Totally. And the more we face our fears, the less power they have over us. It's like building a muscle. The more we exercise that courage muscle, the stronger it becomes.
And that courage is essential if we want to break free from the societal programming and start living a life that's aligned with our true potential. Now, there's another concept that I think is really relevant here, and it comes from Buddhist philosophy, this idea of prajna.
Prajna is often translated as wisdom or insight, but it's like a deeper concept than that. It's about seeing the world with clarity, without the filters
of our own
biases and judgments.
It's like taking off their distorted glasses and seeing the world as it truly is, without all the mental clutter that we tend to accumulate over time.
Yeah, and Godin connects this idea of prajna to the mindset of an artist. He argues that true creativity requires this ability to see things clearly, to observe the world without getting caught up in our own preconceived notions.
Because it's that clear, unbiased vision that allows for true innovation, for those aha moments that lead to breakthroughs.
And this is something that we can all cultivate. It's about becoming aware of our own mental filters, the ways in which our past experiences, our beliefs, our emotions color our perception of reality.
So it's about stepping back and asking ourselves, am I seeing this situation clearly? Or am I letting my own biases cloud my judgment?
It's a constant practice, a process of refining our perception, becoming more aware of the ways in which we distort reality with our own thoughts and interpretations.
Now, before we move on, I want to share a story from Linchpin that I think really illustrates these ideas of overcoming fear and embracing our unique gifts.
You're talking about the story of John, the insurance salesman.
Yeah, that one really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Godin meets this guy, John, who's essentially working as, like a human spam machine, selling insurance door to door.
And John is clearly miserable, underpaid, completely undervalued. He's got this incredible charisma and work ethic, but he's stuck in this system that's designed to keep him small.
And what's really striking is John doesn't even want to change. He's actually afraid to try anything different. He's so conditioned to follow the rules that he's completely lost sight of his own potential.
He's literally risking his life every day, driving hundreds of miles just to stay stuck in this dead-end job.
And Godin points out that John has everything he needs to be successful, except the willingness to break free from the script, to tap into his own creativity and build his own path.
It's such a powerful reminder that often the biggest obstacle to our success is our own fear. And that fear can be so deeply ingrained that we don't even recognize it as fear anymore. We just accept it as the way things are.
And that brings us to another really important point: awareness. We can't change what we don't acknowledge. So the first step to breaking free from these limiting patterns is to become aware of them, to see them operating in our own lives.
It's like waking up from a dream. Once we see the matrix, we can start to make our own choices.
So let's pause for a moment. Kind of turn the focus back to you. Are you playing it safe in any areas of your life? Are you holding yourself back because of fear, self-doubt, or the pressure to conform? What are those rules that you've blindly accepted without questioning whether they actually serve you?
These are tough questions, but they're so worth asking because, as we've been discussing, there's so much more available to us when we dare to challenge the status quo and embrace our true potential.
Now I think we have time to squeeze in one more source before we move on to part 3. For this one, we're going to shift gears completely.
We'll talk about
the power of mindset, using some insights from Jordan Peterson's conversation with Lewis Howes on a Lewis Howes YouTube channel.
Peterson offers this really compelling perspective on the importance of honesty and transparency in building trust, particularly within relationships. He argues that being upfront and truthful with your partner, even when it's difficult, is crucial for creating a strong foundation.
It's about having those tough conversations, about setting clear boundaries and expectations from the outset, rather than letting things kind of fester and erode trust over time.
He emphasizes that couples need to have these open and honest conversations about their boundaries, their fears, their vulnerabilities.
Because true intimacy requires vulnerability.
Yeah.
And that vulnerability
Yeah.
can only exist within a context of deep trust. It's about creating a safe space where you can be completely open with each other without fear of judgment or rejection.
And that level of trust is essential, not just in romantic relationships, but in all of our relationships. It's the foundation of genuine connection.
Yeah.
And collaborate.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this part. From the gift economy, to the power of prajna, to the importance of honesty, and transparency in building trust. Are you ready to dive into the final part of our exploration?
I think we've saved some of the most mind-blowing insights for last.
Stick with us for part 3, where we'll explore some really powerful tools for breaking free from these limiting beliefs and achieving your goals. Welcome back to The Deep Dive, presented by Hustlers Rule the World. We've been exploring how society can subtly trick you into settling for mediocrity. But here in part 3, it's all about flipping the script. It's about taking back your power and achieving your full potential.
Yeah, we're diving into some really mind-bending ideas from thinking fast and slow. We're exploring the persuasive techniques of mind control marketing and even tapping into the ancient wisdom of the alchemist.
So first up, let's revisit Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. We talk about how our brains prefer shortcuts, which can sometimes lead to some pretty bad decisions. But there's another side to this coin, right? Something Kahneman calls cognitive strain.
Yeah, it's this idea that when we intentionally engage in effortful thinking, when we push ourselves to think critically and solve complex problems, we actually strengthen our mental muscles.
So instead of shying away from challenges, we should be actively seeking them out. Kind of like hitting the gym, but for our brains.
Think of it this way. When you lift weights, you're creating tiny tears in your muscle fibers. And as those fibers repair themselves, they grow back stronger. It's the same with our brains. When we push ourselves mentally, we're creating new neural pathways, we're strengthening our cognitive abilities.
So the more we challenge ourselves, the more resilient we become, the better equipped we are to handle whatever life throws at us.
And this ties back to that idea of embracing our inner artist that we discussed earlier. You know, true creativity requires mental effort. It requires that willingness to push past those initial blocks and explore new ideas.
It's about stepping outside of our comfort zone and engaging in the kind of thinking that leads to breakthroughs, to innovation, to those aha moments that can change the course of our lives, right? Okay, so let's talk about a book that takes a slightly different approach to achieving success. Mind Control Marketing.
Oh, yeah.
This one might raise a few eyebrows, but it offers some really fascinating insights into the psychology of persuasion.
It's about understanding how to influence people's thoughts and behaviors, but not in a manipulative way. It's more about understanding the underlying motivations that drive people's decisions.
So it's not about tricking people into buying things they don't need. It's more about understanding what they truly want and communicating in a way that resonates with their deepest desires.
Yeah, think of it like this. Every successful entrepreneur, every inspiring leader, every compelling artist understands the power of persuasion. They know how to connect with their audience. They know how to inspire action. They know how to create a movement.
And those skills aren't just valuable for selling products or building businesses. They're essential for building relationships, influencing others, achieving your goals in any area of life.
It's about becoming a more effective communicator, a more persuasive storyteller, a more influential force in the world.
Now we've explored how to strengthen our minds and how to master the art of persuasion. But let's shift gears completely and talk about a book that's all about finding your purpose and following your dreams, The Alchemist.
It's a timeless story about a young shepherd who embarks on this journey to discover his personal legend, that unique thing that he's meant to do in the world.
Yeah, and it's filled with so much symbolism and metaphors that can be interpreted on so many different levels. But what really resonates with me is this idea that the universe conspires to help you achieve your dreams, but only if you're willing to take that first step.
It's about trusting your intuition, listening to those inner whispers that are guiding you towards your true path.
And it's about taking action even when you're afraid, even when you're not sure what that next step is.
The book really emphasizes that the journey is just as important as the destination. It's through the challenges, the setbacks that we learn and grow, that we discover our true strength and resilience.
And ultimately, it's about living a life that's aligned with your soul's purpose, a life that's filled with passion, meaning, and adventure.
It's a reminder that we're all capable of achieving these extraordinary things when we dare to dream big and follow our hearts.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into how to break free from the subtle traps of mediocrity, I want to leave you with a question from the alchemist. What would you dare to dream if you knew you couldn't fail? What's that one thing that you've always wanted to do, but you've been afraid to pursue?
That's a powerful question to sit with. It invites us to step back from our fears and limitations and tap into that limitless potential that resides within each of us.
So take some time to reflect on that question. And remember, you are capable of achieving far more than you might think. Don't let society trick you into settling for a life that's anything less than extraordinary.
Embrace your unique gifts, challenge your limiting beliefs, and dare to pursue your dreams with unwavering passion and determination.
That's all for this deep dive brought to you by Hustlers Rule the World. Make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into empowering ideas, and remember, you are the architect of your own life. Go out there and create something amazing.